Welcome to Elevating La Cultura podcast, a space where I talk with Latinas who are passionate about what they do and are willing to share their passion with others to change the narrative, especially for the next generation. Each season is centered around different topics, but all with a Latina perspective. This is season 6, and it's going to be featuring Latinas in the food space. I hope this season is inspiring and perhaps even nostalgic as we hear stories we can relate to. I'm so excited to share these stories and talk about food. So vámonos, and let's get into it. Hey, hola, hola. We're wrapping up another amazing season of the Elevating La Cultura podcast, and we have made it past 3,300 downloads. Thank you so much to all my listeners and for your continued support through each season. I'm especially grateful to each guest that takes time out of their day to share their story and offer education to our listeners. What an incredibly amazing season. There were times that I was transported back to my childhood as I remembered great memories around food. I shared in the intro episode of this season that my relationship with food wasn't always positive, as I'm sure many of us can relate to comments or mixed messages about our bodies. But as I talked with each guest, I could hear the excitement and passion about them choosing a career in the food industry. And more importantly, they shared about how they were bringing their cultural roots into the products that they share. I love how each and every guest's passion started from the heart of what Latina food is: love. Last week, we heard from Big Meech, and I was just blown away by their intentionality when building a business. They're not just offering an amazing product, but are literally thinking of every interaction with their customers and employees. I think back to my conversation with Rachel from Borinquen Cake, and you can just hear the joy she has when creating new flavors for her cupcakes and then sharing them with her customers. There was so much hope in her story as she gave it her all, even when everything seemed uncertain, and how she is providing for her family by sharing the love of her Puerto Rican flavors, and how she shares her entrepreneurial spirit and knowledge with her friend Vanessa from Su Taqueria Talis. I think as a generation, we are working hard to build onto what our parents have sacrificed so much for. It's beautiful when we have the opportunity to grow with a family business, especially when you're able to share your family's recipes like Vanessa is in her restaurant. Speaking of incorporating your family into your business, what Jessica from Sol Boricua and her sisters have built is amazing. This is the very definition of taking your knowledge and skills, seeing a need in the community, and doing what you can to fill that need. They're doing that with their Puerto Rican products, as well as offering opportunities to their community for work. I was blown away and truly inspired by the story of Sol Boricua. I especially loved how she shared about how she would fuse her two cultures together when her family cooked. This is such a beautiful image and should be a reminder to those that are in bi or multiracial families to appreciate all cultures shared and learn about each other's cultures, differences, and similarities. As I talk to each guest, I love how you can see the joy and nostalgia when talking about their favorite foods as a kid. I hope that as a listener, you too were thinking of your favorite food. It was so fun to talk to Brenda from Aguas Laguneras because I love horchata and aguas frescas, especially in the summer. And her drinks are like the best. I like how she got real about her mental health and how focusing her energy on something that she loves and can share with her community has been a game changer for her. I truly am echándole porras. And chatting with Norma about how she realized that when she was helping her sister bake, she actually loved it too. And there's something about going back to your roots or to where your family's from and taking the inspiration from who you already are to continue the legacy that's already within you. I'm so encouraged that there are people that are advocating for food education, especially as it pertains to Latina and cultural foods. We need these discussions to keep happening. We need to shift the norm from a colonized mindset and showcase the harm it can cause when our foods are viewed from that perspective. I'm thankful for the work that Dalina is doing as a nutritionist to help her community in the healthcare system, and the work that Valeria is doing by educating about different eating lifestyles and removing the shame around those choices. Mary Beth is also doing such important work with the youth because all of these mindsets are started when we are young and will be perpetuated if we don't rewrite the narrative for the next generation. And even in the beverage industry, Argelia from Vida Mia Cocktails is helping others understand the diverse culinary traditions of Mexico through food and beverage cocktail experiences. And this is important so that we continue to elevate our culture and break the ideas that our food is cheap. Throughout the season, I was reminded how I was so proud of my father when I saw him building a restaurant business of his own. He actually opened a restaurant in Pilsen when I was really young, maybe like 8 years old. He closed that space, but then later opened a restaurant when I was in college. It was a huge project. Like, he literally built that space from the ground up. I was part of the building and training of the team with the computer system. I think at one point I had every position, taking orders, cleaning up, food prep, washing dishes, pretty much everything except for cooking the food. I remember taking my husband, boyfriend at the time, to eat there. And that was actually where he had menudo for the first time. But I was so proud of my father for that restaurant. He sold it several years later, but the location is actually still there, and a few more locations have opened up since then. I share this because I love how with each story, we can hear how our parents have been huge influences in our lives and therefore a huge influence in our business. I know family can be complicated, but I think about how I can really lean into all the positive ways my parents have poured into me and how I can build upon that while healing from the not so positive experiences. We need to keep building and healing for the sake of the next generation and for ourselves. I'm reminded of a quote from my friend Adriana. On Instagram, she's at Adriana Talks Dinero, but she wrote, "Be who younger you needed, then give back and lift your community." I've been thinking about that quote for weeks now, and now maybe you will too. And with that, we come to the end of season 6. With each season, I take a break from producing episodes to prep for the next season, so I'll be enjoying the rest of the holidays and probably will come back with season 7 in February. As you know, I've been hosting networking events with my friend Veronica from episode 9. It's been so great to build our in-person network. I've also been planning more in-person events and workshops and collaborations and partnerships and all the things to continue to build community. And hopefully next year I will have some actual swag for all of you as well. Keep on following on Instagram at Elevating La Cultura and make sure you're on the email list so you're up to date on all the good things we're planning for next year. But for now, it would be super appreciated if you can share this podcast on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts so we can get more ears listening to these stories and we can continue elevating La Cultura. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening, y nos vemos next year. Bye.